Yeah, wow. That's a great take. I tend to agree with you on that. Listen, on paper, you look at the Knicks and you go, wow, they have a couple of little holes, but for the most part, they're stacked, right? Like you mentioned before, they bring in Mikal Bridges. Obviously Julius is coming back. It's almost like getting It's almost like bringing in an All NBA player for the first time because he got hurt last year. So you're bringing in another guy. Obviously Jalen Brunson, Devo. We all know the usual suspects. On paper, depth, shooting, 3-point shooting, rebounding, defense. We know how Tibbs is. We know the Nova guys have played together without Mikal Bridges on the Knicks. But my thing is, on paper is one thing, and translating that play onto the court is another thing. Like I said, we know the 3 Nova guys have played together, but now you're bringing in a whole other piece, a whole other entity, so to speak. We know they worked in college, but this is the NBA. Do you think that is immediately going to click? Or is there going to be that Miami Heat period with the Heatos and the Big Three where it took them about maybe 15 to 20 games to really, get the engine revved up, in your opinion?
I don't think it's the Nova guys that's going to have to make an adjustment. I think Randle is going to have to make the biggest adjustment because Mikal doesn't care. Mikal can be the one. He can be the 2. He doesn't want to be the 1, though. But he can be the 1. He can be the 2. He can be the 3. He can be the 4. He can be non-existent. He's done it before in Phoenix. So he doesn't need to be the guy. And he was the guy and didn't like it because he couldn't do what he wanted to do. He's a roamer. On defense, he's a roamer. You need to allow him to be that roamer. Same with OG. He needs to be allowed to roam. That's how you can guard 1 through 5. Mikal can do the same thing. He doesn't get the same type of credit, but he can. So the fact that you have both of those guys, Julius Randle now has to find himself back to where he was in January. In January, if you notice what he was doing with his play, he didn't force anything. He played within the flow of the offense.
Right.
That's how you have to play with this unit. You can't force anything. Jalen's the only person that's going to be forcing anything. And that's because he's the head of the snake. He's a superstar on this team.
Right.
And it all will go through him. And once he penetrates and creates, he'll have 4 options now versus 2 or 1.
Right.
So that's the difference right now.
Well. Yeah.
Exactly. And with the Mikal Bridges situation, I feel like it's going to work like Dante did, seamlessly.
Yeah.
Because those guys don't care about being number 1. Hart doesn't care about being number 1. Dante doesn't care about being number 1. Mikal doesn't care about being number 1. And if Jalen didn't have the superstar run he's having right now, he would allow Julius to be the guy he was. But the fact of the matter is he recognizes that he is the guy. And so does Randle. So Randle right now needs to adjust to now potentially some nights being the 3rd option or some nights maybe not even being an option because we're good without him. That's going to be the biggest adjustment and being okay with not having that major impact. That's going to be the biggest thing.
That, I think that's a great point. And that worries me a little bit. Going from essentially the guy to maybe last year, the 1A to Jalen's 1, right? And now you're saying on some nights, maybe being the 3rd option or maybe not even involved all the way in the offense. This is coming from essentially a 25 and 10 guy, 3 or 4-time All-Star, All NBA player. That's a bruise to your ego. I know he wants to be a team guy. I love Julius because when Julius came here at a time when no one wanted to come here. So there's a soft spot in my heart for Julius. He wanted to be a Knick. He embraced the pressure. He reps the Knicks. Like, I know you just went through it, but do you think he can do this without ego playing a part in this?
Yeah, we saw it in January. I have no doubt in my mind, actually. I think, to be honest, Randle even more so being on the bench and seeing what the Knicks did last year without him, knowing that if he was there, what they could have done, it's simple. It's all about sacrifice. And he's been saying all the right things. Think about this. Think about it like this. If Randle cared about his individuality and everything about himself, he would want that extension on August 3rd. He'd demand that extension on August 3rd. And then Nick should give it to him if that was the case, because he's deserved it up to this point. But he's not doing that. If anything, the reports are indicating he's pushing the Knicks to get a backup center. He wants this Knicks team to get better so they can be competitive. Now, why would you do that if you understand that next year, with the roster that you have, if you don't sacrifice, which he's doing already right now, how can you be that next level team? He's already done it before the season's even started. So you're telling me next season he's not going to be okay with it? Matter of fact, the stats might look a little bit different. Doesn't mean it's not going to be impressive. Maybe he has 7 points. What if he has 14 assists? Because every time he goes down low to play bully ball, he passes it to Mikal, OG, Jalen, Dante, whoever else can shoot, and then he gets another assist. So maybe it changes for him in terms of the level of impact, but it doesn't mean he won't be anything to this team. He might matter even more in the moments that we never had somebody like that before, because we never had anybody down low that can do what Julius does. So the fact that you can get that and have that as a threat, and then you have the scores that we have in the corner, You're talking about Mikal and OG, 50% from OG on corner threes, and Mikal Bridges. He doesn't do that point and shoot thing for no reason. He does it because he's a lock and loaded shooter. So these two guys on your wing with Jalen Brunson controlling everything at the helm, with Julius side, we're not even talking about rebounding, not talking about putback dunks, anybody at the center position. I'm scared for the league playing against us.
None of that trapping Jalen in the corner. That's a wrap. You know what I mean?
Do it if you want to. And watch what happens with Julius, Mikal, OG, Dante. They won't light you up. You can't leave Jay. You have to stay with Jalen. But the problem is you do one-on-a-man coverage with Jalen. One-on-one, he's going to toast you. He's toasting double teams right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of here, man. I feel sorry for the league.
I'm super pumped.